The vast darkness of space stretched endlessly, punctuated by the cold metallic hull of the alien mothership. Its massive form cast an ominous shadow across Earth's orbital defense network. Commander J. Park stood motionless, his dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the approaching vessel. The aliens had been watching humanity for decades. They called themselves the Varan Collective, a civilization that had conquered hundreds of planetary systems across the galaxy. To them, humans were nothing more than a primitive species, barely worthy of acknowledgement. Communication channels crackled to life. A deep, resonant voice filled the United Earth Defense Command Center. Humans of Earth, your civilization has been selected for conscription. Your population will serve as resource units in our ongoing galactic conflict. Nobody moved. The silence was thick with tension. Hana Kim, a brilliant quantum engineer standing nearby, whispered to her colleague, "They have no idea what they're walking into." The alien transmission continued, outlining their demands with clinical precision. Humans would be divided into labor groups, transported across star systems, and used as disposable workforce in a war they knew nothing about. The Varan Collective believed negotiation was unnecessary. They had technological superiority, centuries of military experience, and a cold, calculated approach to planetary acquisition. What they didn't understand was human unpredictability. Park's fingers moved swiftly across the holographic interface. Alerts began spreading across global communication networks. Military bases, research facilities, and government centers activated protocols that had been secretly developed over the past decade. The alien ship began deploying smaller reconnaissance vessels. Each craft looked like a perfect geometric shape, all sharp angles and reflective surfaces. They moved with mathematical precision, scanning Earth's surface, preparing for what they believed would be an effortless invasion. But something was different this time. Unlike previous civilizations they had conquered, humans didn't panic. There were no frantic military movements, no chaotic responses. Instead, a calculated calm spread across the planet. In research laboratories, scientists like Hana Kim had been preparing. Prototype technologies that had been considered impossible were now being rapidly assembled. Quantum communication systems, adaptive nanotechnologies, and psychological warfare algorithms were coming online. The alien commander, a being named Valek, watched the planet's surface with contempt. Billions of humans, from his perspective, were nothing more than potential labor units. Their cities, technologies, and individual lives meant nothing in the grand scheme of galactic conquest. What Valek didn't realize was that humans had been studying potential extraterrestrial threats for decades. Every conspiracy theory, every speculative scientific paper, every imaginative scenario had been meticulously analyzed and prepared for. As the first alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere, something unexpected happened. Instead of terror or submission, there was a strange, collective readiness among humans. Military bases that appeared dormant suddenly hummed with activity. Communication networks that seemed ordinary began transmitting complex, encrypted data. Civilian populations moved with a coordinated efficiency that defied traditional invasion expectations. J. Park allowed himself a slight smile. The aliens thought they were introducing humans to a galactic conflict. In reality, humans were about to introduce the galaxy to a new form of warfare. The first wave of alien troops began their descent. Sleek, biomechanical suits gleamed in the sunlight, technological marvels that had conquered countless civilizations. They expected minimal resistance, a simple process of collection and relocation. Little did they know that humanity was about to rewrite the rules of engagement. As the first alien vessels touched down on selected landing zones, the only sound was the low hum of advanced technology and the quiet breathing of humans who had been waiting for this moment. The invasion had begun, but who was really being invaded remained to be seen. Valek watched from the mothership, confident in the collective's superiority. Humans would soon learn their place in the universe, a lesson taught to countless species before them. But some lessons are learned the hard way, and humanity was about to deliver the most difficult lesson of all. The world transformed overnight, Research facilities that once looked like ordinary buildings now buzzed with intense energy. Scientists worked in shifts, their fingers dancing across holographic interfaces, developing technologies that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Hana Kim stood at the center of a massive underground research complex. Screens surrounded her, displaying complex algorithms and prototype designs. Her team had been preparing for this moment, though most of the world had no idea how serious their work had been. Quantum adaptive nanotechnologies became their primary focus. These microscopic machines could change their structure in milliseconds, adapting to any environmental challenge. Unlike traditional military hardware, these nanobots could think, learn, and modify themselves faster than any human or alien computer. In military training grounds, a different kind of preparation was happening. Wu Choi, a tactical operations specialist, was redesigning combat training from the ground up. Traditional military approaches were thrown out completely. Soldiers were now trained to be unpredictable, to think like water, flowing, changing, adapting. Physical training mixed with psychological conditioning. Soldiers learned to control their emotional responses, to become living weapons that could think beyond programmed instructions. They studied alien communication patterns, behavioral models, and psychological weaknesses. Global communication networks transformed into something more than just information highways. They became potential weapons. Every satellite, every communication line, every digital pathway was being prepared for a type of warfare never seen before. Universities worldwide shifted their research. Engineering departments, computer science labs, and even humanities researchers were recruited into special programs. The goal was simple: understand the alien threat from every possible angle. Young scientists like Yuna Lee developed complex, psychological warfare algorithms. These weren't just computer programs, they were sophisticated systems designed to disrupt alien communication and decision-making processes. Military bases that looked quiet from the outside were actually preparing massive technological surprises. Underground facilities housed experimental weapon systems that defied conventional understanding. Quantum entanglement communication devices, adaptive camouflage technologies, and neural-linked combat systems were being finalized. The global economy shifted. Resources were redirected. Manufacturing plants that once produced consumer goods now created specialized military equipment. Every industry became part of the preparation protocol. Governments that previously competed now worked together. National boundaries became meaningless in the face of a unified alien threat. Intelligence agencies shared information freely, something unthinkable just months before. Wu Choi's training programs pushed human potential to new limits. Soldiers learned to control their body's responses, to remain calm under extreme stress, to think and react faster than any known biological system. Hana Kim's nanotechnology teams created personal combat suits that were more like living organisms than traditional armor. These suits could heal themselves, adapt to different environments, and provide superhuman capabilities to their wearers. Communication networks became living, breathing systems. Every digital pathway was prepared to become a potential weapon. Information itself would become a battlefield. The preparation wasn't just technological. Psychological readiness became crucial. People were educated about the potential alien threat, taught to remain calm, to be ready, to understand that they were part of something bigger than themselves. Yuna Lee's psychological warfare teams developed communication strategies designed to confuse and disrupt alien command structures. They studied every possible communication method, preparing to turn information itself into a weapon. Global satellite networks were transformed. What once seemed like simple communication tools were now complex, adaptive systems capable of gathering and processing information at speeds never before imagined. Research facilities worked around the clock. Coffee machines never stopped. Computer systems ran constantly. And human creativity became the most powerful weapon in humanity's arsenal. The aliens thought they were coming to conquer a primitive species. They had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades. Every conspiracy theory, Every speculative scientific paper, every imaginative scenario had been studied, analyzed, and prepared for. As the days passed, humanity transformed. No longer just a collection of nations and individuals, they became a unified system, a living, breathing, thinking organism ready to face an alien threat. The preparation protocol was complete. Humanity was ready, and the aliens had no idea what was coming. The first alien landing zones glowed with an eerie technological light. Sleek metallic vessels touched down on carefully selected regions, their surfaces reflecting a cold, calculated precision. Commander Velik believed the invasion would be swift and simple. He was wrong. The moment alien troops began their systematic deployment, something unexpected happened. Human responses defied every known invasion protocol in the Varen Collective's historical database. Wu Choi's specially trained units moved like liquid mercury. They weren't soldiers in the traditional sense. They were living, breathing, adaptive systems. Each unit could transform tactics within milliseconds using terrain, psychological manipulation, and technological improvisation as weapons. The first engagement occurred in a remote mountain region. Alien reconnaissance units expected minimal resistance. Instead, they encountered a nightmare of human unpredictability. Holographic decoys appeared simultaneously in multiple locations. Communication signals twisted and transformed, creating impossible-to-track information patterns. The alien troops found themselves fighting shadows, confronting threats that seemed to exist everywhere and nowhere. Yuna Lee's psychological warfare algorithms turned the battlefield into a mental maze. Communication networks became weapons. Every transmitted signal carried subtle psychological disruption codes. Alien troops suddenly found their coordination systems breaking down, their strategic thinking fragmenting. Human soldiers used terrain in ways the aliens couldn't comprehend. Mountains became living battlefields. Rocks transformed into communication points. Natural environments were weaponized with such sophistication that traditional alien scanning technologies became useless. Nano-adaptive suits allowed human soldiers to blend perfectly with their surroundings. One moment, a rocky landscape would be empty. The next, specialized human units would emerge, strike with precision, and vanish before alien systems could even process their existence. Commander Velik watched the initial battle reports with growing confusion. His advanced technological systems reported impossible scenarios, enemies appearing and disappearing, communication networks that seemed to have their own intelligence, tactical responses that broke every known military algorithm. Hana Kim's quantum communication systems turned every potential information channel into a potential weapon. Satellites, radio waves, even ambient electromagnetic signals became tools of psychological and tactical warfare. The aliens had conquered hundreds of civilizations. They understood technological superiority. They knew how to crush resistance, but they had never encountered a species that could turn technology itself into a living, breathing weapon. Human units didn't just fight. They adapted. They thought. They transformed the very concept of warfare. In urban environments, the chaos became even more pronounced. Alien troops found themselves navigating city landscapes that seemed to change with every step. Buildings became defensive systems. Street networks transformed into complex communication grids. Ordinary objects became weapons. A simple smartphone could become a complex communication disruption device. A city's electrical grid could be weaponized in seconds. Every human became a potential tactical element. The Varen Collective's military leadership began to realize they were facing something entirely different. This wasn't a traditional invasion. This was a living, thinking system that could modify itself faster than any known technological process. Wu Choi's training showed its true potential. Soldiers moved with a fluidity that defied traditional combat understanding. They weren't just fighting. They were communicating through movement, through strategy, through an almost telepathic understanding of their environment. Alien troops found themselves confronting an enemy that didn't follow any known rules of engagement. Every time they adapted their strategy, human units would transform their approach instantly. Commander Velik's confidence began to crack. The initial invasion reports suggested something impossible. A primitive species was systematically dismantling their most advanced military units. The first engagements revealed a fundamental truth. Humanity was not just fighting. They were evolving in real time, turning the entire planet into a complex adaptive weapon system. And this was just the beginning. The aliens had wanted a simple invasion. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous. A species ready to redefine the very concept of warfare. The world changed faster than anyone could have imagined. Technology that seemed like science fiction became reality in weeks. Hana Kim's research team worked without sleep, pushing the boundaries of human understanding. Quantum entanglement communication systems replaced traditional networks. Information now traveled faster than light, creating a global consciousness that moved like a living brain. Alien communication systems became obsolete almost instantly. Adaptive nano-armor transformed human defense capabilities. Soldiers wore suits that were more alive than mechanical. These suits could heal themselves, change color, adapt to any environment in milliseconds. A bullet wound would seal itself before the shooter could even realize they'd made contact. Woo! Choi's tactical teams discovered something extraordinary. Their neural-linked combat systems allowed soldiers to communicate without words. Thoughts became tactics. Strategy became an instant collective decision-making process. The alien technology they had brought suddenly looked primitive. Humanity was rewriting the rules of technological evolution. Research facilities across the planet worked like a single massive brain. Universities, military labs, and independent research centers shared information at unprecedented speeds. What would have taken decades now happened in days. Una Lee's psychological warfare algorithms evolved into something more than just computer programs. They became living systems that could predict and manipulate alien communication patterns. Every transmission became a potential weapon. Satellite networks transformed into adaptive intelligence systems. What once required massive supercomputers now happened in the palm of a human hand. Each device became a potential node in a global defense network. The Viren Collective's most advanced scanning technologies became useless. Human adaptive systems could change faster than alien computers could process. Every time the aliens developed a new detection method, humans would already be 3 steps ahead. Manufacturing changed overnight. Factories that once produced consumer goods now created advanced technological systems. 3D printing became a weapon of technological warfare. Complex devices could be designed and produced in hours, not months. Energy systems underwent a complete revolution. Quantum energy extraction techniques turned every potential energy source into a powerful, clean power system. Alien ships that once seemed invincible now looked like primitive fuel-burning machines. Communication became a weapon more powerful than any physical arsenal. Neural-linked networks allowed humans to share information, strategy, and emotional states instantaneously. A soldier in one part of the world could experience the exact sensory input of a teammate thousands of miles away. Hana Kim's quantum adaptive technologies created systems that could learn and modify themselves faster than any known artificial intelligence. These weren't just computers. They were living, thinking systems that could evolve in real time. The global economy transformed. Traditional monetary systems became irrelevant. Resources were redirected entirely toward technological development. Every human became a potential contributor to the planetary defense system. Alien reconnaissance reports became increasingly confused. Their most advanced scanning systems showed impossible scenarios, cities that could reconfigure themselves, communication networks that seemed to have their own intelligence, technological systems that defied every known scientific principle. Medical technologies advanced at an impossible rate. Nanomedical systems could heal injuries instantly. Genetic modifications could enhance human capabilities beyond previous limitations. A soldier could now heal from critical injuries in minutes with enhanced physical and mental capabilities. Wuchoi's combat units were no longer just soldiers. They were living technological systems. Each unit could transform its tactical approach faster than any computer could calculate. Battlefield strategy became a living, breathing entity. The Viren Collective's invasion plans began to crumble. Their most advanced technological systems became obsolete almost instantly. Every time they developed a new strategy, humans would already have a counter-strategy prepared. Unile's psychological warfare teams turned information itself into a weapon. Communication became a complex, multi-dimensional battlefield where thoughts were more powerful than physical weapons. As the technological revolution accelerated, one thing became clear. Humanity was no longer just fighting for survival. They were redefining the very concept of technological evolution. The aliens had wanted to conquer a primitive species. Instead, they had awakened a technological nightmare, and humanity was just getting started. The final battle wasn't just a conflict. It was a complete transformation of galactic understanding. Commander Valek watched in horror as human fleets moved through space like living algorithms. Each ship was more than a machine. It was a thinking, adapting organism. The Varen Collective's most advanced technological systems looked like children's toys compared to human capabilities. Hanakim's quantum communication networks had turned the entire solar system into a complex adaptive weapon. Satellites moved like intelligent swarms, creating impossible defensive and offensive patterns. Space itself became a battlefield that could change in milliseconds. Human ships didn't just fight. They predicted. They learned. They evolved faster than any known technological system in galactic history. Wuchoi's tactical teams had transformed space combat into an art form. Each movement was a complex mathematical equation solved in real time. Alien ships found themselves facing opponents who could predict their movements before they even made them. The first wave of Varen attack groups disappeared almost instantly. One moment, massive battleships filled the solar system. The next, they were gone, completely dismantled by technologies that seemed to break the fundamental laws of physics. Unile's psychological warfare systems turned communication itself into a weapon. Alien command structures collapsed from within. Information became a virus that destroyed technological and strategic capabilities faster than any physical weapon. Quantum entanglement communication allowed human forces to act with a collective intelligence that defied traditional understanding. A soldier on Earth could experience the exact sensory input of a spacecraft thousands of light years away. Strategy became a living, breathing entity. Commander Velek's most advanced tactical systems began to fail. Every calculation, every predicted outcome became meaningless. Humans had transformed warfare into something the Varen Collective couldn't comprehend. Adaptive nanotechnologies turned human ships into living systems. Damage could be repaired instantly. Weapons could modify themselves mid-battle. Each vessel was more than a machine. It was a thinking, evolving organism. The battle moved beyond physical conflict. It became a complex dance of intelligence, adaptation, and technological evolution. Alien systems that had conquered hundreds of civilizations became obsolete in moments. Global human resources transformed into a single, massive technological organism. Every research facility, every military unit, every communication network worked as a unified system. The entire planet had become a complex, adaptive weapon. Alien communication networks began to collapse. Their most secure systems became vulnerable. Humans could predict and manipulate alien strategies faster than the aliens could process their own thoughts. Space itself seemed to bend around human technological capabilities. Ships could move in ways that defied known physical laws. Time and space became flexible tools in human hands. The Varen Collective's invasion plans crumbled completely. Their most advanced technological systems looked like primitive machines, compared to human capabilities. What they thought would be a simple conquest became a complete technological nightmare. Hanakim watched from Earth as human fleets systematically dismantled centuries of alien military infrastructure. Each movement was a complex mathematical equation. Each strategy was a living, thinking system. The final transmission from human forces was chillingly simple. You should have left us alone. Alien command structures collapsed. Entire civilizations began to reconsider their understanding of technological evolution. Humanity had not just defended itself, it had rewritten the fundamental rules of galactic conflict. Commander Velik's final report was a simple admission of complete defeat. The humans were not just a species to be conquered. They were a living, evolving technological system that could transform faster than any known civilization. As the battle concluded, something became clear. This was more than a conflict. It was a complete transformation of galactic understanding. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again. The technological revolution was complete. The galactic reckoning had begun.